Relationships are a central part of our lives, often shaping our happiness, growth, and sense of purpose. However, not all relationships are meant to last forever. As we grow and evolve, so do our needs, desires, and emotional capacities. Sometimes, we may find ourselves in a relationship that no longer serves us, one that is no longer fulfilling or healthy. It can be incredibly difficult to face the reality that a relationship is over, but in many cases, the signs are clear if we are willing to see them. The challenge lies in recognizing these signs before they escalate into deeper emotional turmoil. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches resilience, emotional control, and self-reflection, provides a powerful framework for understanding when it might be time to let go of a relationship. According to Stoic principles, it's essential to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and responses, while acknowledging that we cannot control the behavior or feelings of others. This mindset can help us approach relationships with clarity and wisdom, allowing us to see when a partnership is no longer aligned with our values or mental well-being. In this video, we'll explore the 7 signs that your relationship may be over, viewed through the lens of Stoic philosophy. These signs are not always easy to recognize, but by reflecting on your emotions, behaviors, and relationship dynamics, you can better assess whether the partnership is truly serving you. It's important to note that recognizing these signs doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is doomed. Instead, it provides an opportunity for introspection, change, or in some cases, the strength to move on. Let's dive into these 7 crucial indicators so you can make decisions with wisdom and peace of mind. Number 1. Emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is one of the most noticeable signs that a relationship may be over. At the core of any healthy relationship is a shared emotional connection, which allows both individuals to feel seen, heard, and understood. When that connection starts to fade, it can lead to a sense of loneliness, confusion, and disillusionment. Emotional detachment doesn't happen overnight. It's often a gradual process where one or both partners stop feeling emotionally involved or invested in the relationship. This detachment can manifest in many ways, from avoiding deep conversations to feeling indifferent about each other's needs and desires. In Stoic philosophy, emotions are not viewed as inherently good or bad, but as responses to our judgments and perceptions of external events. A Stoic would argue that our emotional state is a result of how we interpret the world around us and our expectations. If we feel emotionally detached from a partner, it often reflects a shift in how we view the relationship. Perhaps the partner no longer aligns with our values or goals, or we've experienced repeated disappointments that have dulled our emotional response. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, often spoke about the importance of emotional resilience and focusing on what is within our control. When it comes to emotional detachment, it's important to ask ourselves whether our feelings are being influenced by external circumstances or if they reflect a deeper internal shift. If emotional detachment is happening in a relationship, it's usually a sign that something in the dynamic has changed, and it's crucial to identify the cause of this shift. One way emotional detachment can manifest is through the gradual loss of interest in one another. For example, you may notice that your partner no longer seeks out your company, or that conversations feel forced and one-sided. At one point, sharing your day or discussing your thoughts might have felt natural and fulfilling, but now it's a chore. This loss of emotional investment can create a barrier between you and your partner, making it difficult to communicate effectively. In a Stoic sense, this could reflect a disconnect between your inner values and the actions of your partner. Perhaps you've grown in a different direction, or the relationship no longer serves your well-being. Another aspect of emotional detachment is the decline in physical affection. While it's common for relationships to go through phases of reduced physical intimacy, a long-term decline in affection without any efforts to rekindle it could be a sign that emotional detachment is at play. Stoicism teaches us to be in control of our impulses and actions, and a lack of physical affection could indicate that one or both partners are no longer motivated by the desire to nurture or connect on a deeper level. It's also important to note that emotional detachment can manifest as emotional numbness. When one partner has emotionally disconnected, they may avoid or suppress their feelings to protect themselves from the pain of a faltering relationship. This avoidance can lead to an overall sense of emotional numbness, where neither partner feels excited, angry, sad, or even happy. Everything just feels neutral or indifferent. This detachment is a protective mechanism that the mind uses when it perceives that emotional engagement is too painful or exhausting. In Stoic terms, this might be seen as an unhealthy suppression of emotions, rather than the practice of maintaining emotional balance and control. The Stoic approach to emotional detachment is to recognize the impermanence of external relationships and circumstances. While we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our responses. If emotional detachment is occurring, it might be helpful to reflect on whether it's an inevitable part of the relationship's course, or if there is something within our control that can rekindle emotional connection. It's essential to ask yourself, what has changed within me, and why have I started to feel emotionally distant from this person? Rather than accepting emotional detachment as a permanent state, a Stoic would suggest that you focus on understanding the underlying reasons for this shift. Is it a reflection of unmet needs, misaligned values, or personal growth that no longer includes your partner? Once you've identified the root cause, you can then decide whether it's possible to reconnect, whether through honest communication or mutual reflection, or if it's time to let go. Ultimately, emotional detachment signals that the relationship is no longer fulfilling in the way it once was. From a Stoic perspective, it's a call to assess whether the relationship aligns with your values, goals, and emotional well-being. If the relationship no longer contributes to your flourishing and has led to emotional disconnection, it may be time to reconsider its place in your life. Recognizing emotional detachment is the first step in regaining control of your emotional state and ultimately your path to inner peace and fulfillment. Number 2, constant conflict or unresolved tension. Constant conflict or unresolved tension within a relationship is one of the clearest signs that a relationship is reaching its end. While every relationship experiences its share of disagreements, arguments, and moments of tension, it's the inability to resolve these issues and the constant reoccurrence of conflict that signals deeper problems. Conflict can be an unavoidable part of human relationships, but when it becomes the predominant theme, leaving little room for understanding or growth, it indicates that something essential in the relationship is broken. At the core of any meaningful relationship is mutual respect, communication, and a willingness to compromise. Conflict arises when these elements are challenged, either by differing opinions, unmet needs, or personal grievances. However, how conflict is managed is just as important as its presence. In healthy relationships, partners actively work to resolve issues, understand one another's perspectives, and find ways to navigate differences. In relationships where constant conflict or unresolved tension exists, neither partner seems willing or able to address the underlying causes of the disagreements, and the cycle of friction continues unchecked. From a Stoic perspective, constant conflict is seen as an external disturbance that can undermine inner peace. The Stoics believe in focusing on what is within our control, particularly our own thoughts and reactions, while accepting what is outside our control with equanimity. In the context of relationships, this means that while we can control our own responses and approach to conflict, we cannot always control how our partner reacts or whether they are open to resolution. However, constant conflict may signal a deeper misalignment between the individuals involved. If a relationship is characterized by repeated arguments or unresolved issues, it often indicates that the partners are not on the same page, and their values, expectations, or communication styles are fundamentally incompatible. Constant conflict can often arise from poor communication. A Stoic would emphasize the importance of clear and truthful communication as a way to resolve conflict. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized that we should seek to understand the nature of our disagreements and approach them rationally rather than allowing emotions to dictate our responses. When communication breaks down and partners stop listening to one another, misunderstandings multiply and the cycle of conflict intensifies. A lack of effective communication prevents partners from getting to the root of their issues and creates an environment where conflict becomes a habitual reaction rather than a productive conversation. In these cases, the relationship can feel like a battlefield, where both parties are more focused on winning the argument than reaching mutual understanding or resolution. Another aspect of constant conflict is the emotional toll it takes on both individuals. Over time, the unresolved tension from repeated arguments can lead to exhaustion, frustration, and even resentment. In Stoicism, we are encouraged to preserve our emotional balance and not allow external events to disturb our inner peace. When conflict becomes a regular feature of the relationship, both individuals may find themselves drained by the constant emotional turmoil, leading to further disengagement. In a Stoic context, this emotional drain is seen as a failure to maintain composure and virtue in the face of external disturbances. While we cannot control our partner's actions or emotional responses, we can control our own reactions to the conflict, and when a relationship continues to bring emotional upheaval without any resolution, it can signal that it is no longer conducive to personal peace and well-being. Unresolved tension is another form of constant conflict that signals a relationship's deterioration. This occurs when there are issues or grievances that have not been addressed but continue to linger beneath the surface. These unspoken issues may not always lead to overt arguments, but they create an undercurrent of tension that affects the relationship's overall health. Partners may avoid confronting difficult topics, leading to passive-aggressive behavior, silence, or emotional withdrawal. In a Stoic sense, unresolved tension represents the failure to confront reality with honesty and courage. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, Stoicism encourages facing challenges directly and with reason, seeking resolution through understanding rather than avoidance. A relationship characterized by constant conflict or unresolved tension is one where both partners feel increasingly disconnected. The inability to find common ground or reach resolution causes further emotional distance, making it harder for the relationship to thrive. When issues continue to fester without resolution, it erodes trust, and the bond between partners weakens. In Stoic philosophy, we are reminded that our peace of mind and our capacity for virtue are paramount. A relationship should contribute to our flourishing, not be a source of constant emotional conflict. If a relationship consistently disrupts your emotional balance without offering opportunities for resolution or growth, it may be time to acknowledge that it has run its course. In conclusion, constant conflict and unresolved tension within a relationship are powerful indicators that something fundamental has changed. From a Stoic perspective, it's important to recognize that we cannot control our partner's actions or resolve all external tensions, but we do have control over how we respond. If the conflict becomes a repeating cycle that undermines both partners' peace and well-being, it may be time to step back and reassess the relationship's viability. Stoicism teaches us that our emotional resilience is essential, and if a relationship no longer contributes to this resilience, but instead drains it, it is a sign that it may be time to let go. Number 3. Lack of communication. Communication is the cornerstone of any strong, healthy relationship. It is through communication that we express our needs, understand each other's perspectives, resolve conflicts, and build trust. When communication breaks down, the foundation of the relationship weakens, and a sense of disconnection begins to grow. The lack of communication in a relationship can lead to misunderstandings, emotional distance, and a loss of intimacy. In many cases, this issue signals that the relationship is nearing its end, especially if both partners are unwilling or unable to repair the breakdown. From a Stoic perspective, communication is essential for mutual understanding and personal growth. Stoics believe that to live virtuously, we must engage with the world around us in a thoughtful and rational way. This includes our interactions with others. Stoicism teaches us to value clarity and reason in our communication. When communication falters, it can be an indication that the relationship no longer fosters the growth of either individual, which is a core principle of Stoic thinking. One of the first signs of a lack of communication in a relationship is a decrease in the frequency or quality of conversations. Early in a relationship, couples often spend hours talking, sharing their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. These exchanges create emotional closeness and help partners to better understand each other's inner worlds. However, as the relationship progresses, a failure to continue this open dialogue can create a growing sense of disconnection. Partners may find themselves avoiding difficult topics, not sharing their personal thoughts or feelings, or simply becoming indifferent to the other person's experiences. Without this emotional exchange, the relationship begins to lose its depth and becomes more superficial. The absence of meaningful conversation often leads to misunderstandings. When partners are not communicating openly, small issues can snowball into larger problems. These issues may remain unresolved, causing frustration and resentment. In Stoic terms, this can be seen as a failure to maintain rational and deliberate interactions. Seneca, one of the prominent Stoic philosophers, advocated for communication based on reason, where both parties engage in honest and thoughtful dialogue rather than reacting emotionally or defensively. When communication fails, each partner may begin to misinterpret the actions or intentions of the other, which can further damage the relationship. In some cases, a lack of communication is not just about what isn't being said, but about the inability to listen. Listening is a fundamental part of communication, and in relationships where this is lacking, partners may feel ignored, unimportant, or undervalued. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of being present and attentive, especially in interactions with others. In a relationship where listening is absent, each person may feel disconnected from the other, as if their thoughts and feelings don't matter. This lack of validation can make both partners feel isolated, which further erodes the emotional bond that once held the relationship together. Another critical aspect of communication is how conflicts are managed. In a healthy relationship, disagreements are resolved through open and constructive communication. However, when communication is lacking, conflicts are often left unresolved, creating a lingering sense of tension and bitterness. Avoiding communication about important issues doesn't make them disappear. Instead, it makes them fester beneath the surface. This unresolved tension can eventually create a rift between partners that seems impossible to bridge. A Stoic approach to conflict resolution would involve facing these challenges directly with calmness and rationality. If both partners are unwilling or unable to do this, the relationship may begin to deteriorate. In a relationship with a lack of communication, emotional needs often go unmet. Communication allows partners to express what they need from each other, whether it's emotional support, physical affection, or time together. When communication breaks down, partners may stop expressing these needs, either because they feel it's futile or because they've grown indifferent. This lack of expression leads to frustration, as each partner feels neglected or misunderstood. In Stoic thought, unmet needs should not be a source of emotional disturbance. Instead, we are taught to focus on what we can control, our own actions and responses. However, when both partners in a relationship fail to communicate their needs, it's a sign that the relationship is not functioning as a healthy, supportive partnership. The lack of communication also creates a barrier to emotional intimacy. Intimacy in a relationship requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust. Effective communication helps build and reinforce this trust. Without it, partners may feel emotionally distant from one another, unable to share their true selves or connect on a deeper level. This emotional gap can be hard to bridge, especially if both partners are unwilling to engage in meaningful conversations. In Stoicism, emotional self-sufficiency is emphasized, but this does not mean that we should cut ourselves off from others or avoid emotional connection. Healthy relationships are built on shared emotional experiences, and without communication, this intimacy is lost. Ultimately, a lack of communication signals that the relationship has reached a crossroads. In Stoic philosophy, we are encouraged to reflect on our circumstances with wisdom and clarity. If communication is absent or inadequate, it's important to examine whether the relationship still aligns with our values and contributes to our personal growth. A relationship that is characterized by silence, avoidance, or superficial exchanges is unlikely to help either partner flourish. The Stoic mindset encourages us to take control of our own actions, thoughts, and feelings, and sometimes that means recognizing when it's time to step away from a relationship that no longer serves our well-being. Number 4. Loss of respect. Respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship. It is the acknowledgement of one another's worth, integrity, and individuality. When respect diminishes or is entirely lost in a relationship, it signals that the emotional connection has frayed and may be beyond repair. Respect forms the basis of trust, empathy, and understanding, and without it, relationships tend to erode. In Stoic philosophy, respect is closely tied to virtue and wisdom, and its absence can lead to significant disillusionment and emotional distance. The loss of respect in a relationship often begins subtly. Initially, it may manifest in small ways: dismissive comments, ignoring each other's opinions, or failing to appreciate each other's efforts. However, over time, these behaviors can accumulate, creating a profound sense of disrespect. In Stoic thinking, respect is linked to the recognition of the inherent value in others, and it is essential for the harmony of any relationship. Without this, the relationship loses its grounding, and both individuals begin to feel undervalued. When respect begins to fade, partners may start to treat each other with indifference or condescension. This behavior can manifest in different ways, such as belittling each other, making hurtful remarks, or ignoring each other's needs. In Stoicism, individuals are encouraged to act with virtue and treat others with kindness and dignity. To disrespect someone is to ignore their humanity and the value they bring into the world. When this loss of respect occurs, the relationship becomes toxic and the emotional connection weakens. A lack of respect can also result in one partner disregarding the boundaries or personal space of the other. Healthy relationships require a mutual understanding of each other's needs and limits. However, when respect is gone, one partner may continuously overstep these boundaries, whether emotionally, physically, or mentally. This is a clear sign that the relationship is no longer functioning in a healthy and supportive way. In Stoic philosophy, maintaining personal integrity and respecting the autonomy of others is vital. Disrespecting a partner's boundaries can lead to feelings of resentment, mistrust, and ultimately, the dissolution of the relationship. Another significant sign of lost respect in a relationship is the decline in positive regard or admiration. When partners no longer hold each other in high esteem, they begin to see one another in a negative light. What was once appreciated is now taken for granted, and the small qualities that made the partner lovable or admirable are overlooked or ridiculed. In Stoic terms, respecting others is about acknowledging their strengths and their capacity for virtue. When this respect wanes, the relationship loses its capacity for growth and meaningful connection. The partners may become less supportive of each other's goals, dreams, and ambitions, leading to a lack of emotional fulfillment and shared purpose. The loss of respect can also be accompanied by a sense of entitlement or unfair expectations. One partner may begin to feel superior to the other, leading to a one-sided dynamic where mutual appreciation and equality are absent. Stoicism teaches that we should strive for equity in all relationships, treating others with fairness and humility. When one person starts to feel entitled or superior, it creates a power imbalance, and the relationship becomes unhealthy. In such cases, the relationship may feel more like a transaction or a source of control rather than a partnership based on mutual respect. Disrespect is often accompanied by an erosion of trust. In a relationship where respect is lost, it becomes harder to trust the other person, whether due to dishonesty, betrayal, or a lack of empathy. Trust is built upon the foundation of respect, and without it, the relationship begins to crumble. Stoicism teaches us that trust must be earned and maintained through virtuous behavior and honest interactions. Without respect, it is nearly impossible to rebuild that trust, and the emotional bond between partners becomes strained. The loss of respect can also be reflected in a lack of appreciation for one another's presence or efforts. In the early stages of a relationship, there is often a mutual appreciation for each other's company and contributions. However, over time, when respect fades, one partner may stop valuing the other's efforts, whether it's in the form of household chores, emotional support, or simply spending quality time together. This disregard for one another's contributions leads to a growing sense of imbalance and frustration. In Stoic terms, failing to acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of others is a sign of moral decline, as it disregards the importance of mutual support and fairness in relationships. Finally, when respect is lost in a relationship, it becomes difficult to see the other person as an equal partner. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, where both individuals are seen as equals, each bringing their own strengths, challenges, and perspectives to the table. When respect fades, one partner may start to view the other as inferior or less important. This creates an imbalance, where one person feels diminished while the other feels elevated. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the equality of all human beings and encourages us to treat others with the same respect and dignity that we desire for ourselves. A relationship where respect is lost is a relationship that has lost its sense of equality, leading to emotional distance and a breakdown in the partnership. In conclusion, The loss of respect is a clear and undeniable sign that a relationship may be over. Respect is the foundation upon which trust, emotional connection, and mutual understanding are built. When respect diminishes, the relationship becomes imbalanced, toxic, and ultimately unsustainable. From a Stoic perspective, respect is tied to virtue, and when it is lost, both individuals suffer. The lack of respect causes emotional detachment, breeds resentment, and undermines the very essence of the partnership. If respect is no longer present, it may be time to acknowledge that the relationship has reached its end, and both individuals must move forward to find peace and fulfillment in new directions. Number 5. Incompatibility in values. At the heart of any long-term relationship lies a shared set of values. These values provide a foundation for decision-making, personal growth, and mutual understanding. They serve as the moral compass that guides both partners through life's challenges. When two people's values diverge significantly, it creates a deep rift that is difficult to bridge. In Stoic philosophy, living in harmony with others requires alignment in fundamental principles, as true relationships are based on mutual respect for one another's inner virtues and goals. When compatibility in values is lost, it becomes clear that the relationship is no longer serving its purpose, and the partners are likely headed in different directions. In Stoicism, the alignment of values is crucial for personal growth and the pursuit of virtue. The Stoic ideal encourages individuals to live according to reason, wisdom, and virtue, with the understanding that each person's values will shape their path in life. When two people no longer share core values, it creates friction and conflict, as their goals, principles, and worldviews no longer align. The emotional and philosophical disconnect that arises can be profound, often leading to the realization that the relationship no longer supports the growth and well-being of both individuals. The first sign of incompatibility in values often manifests in differing life goals or aspirations. One partner may prioritize career advancement, while the other values family time or personal freedom. These differing priorities may seem minor at first, but over time they create tension and dissatisfaction. For instance, if one partner desires to travel and explore the world, while the other feels a strong pull towards settling down in one place, the disparity in goals can create feelings of frustration and even resentment. The Stoic approach would involve reflecting on one's core values and asking whether the relationship, with its differing goals, allows for personal growth and fulfillment. If the answers are no, it may signal that the relationship is no longer viable. Another area where values may clash is in the approach to personal integrity and moral principles. Stoicism teaches that we should live in accordance with virtue and cultivate qualities like honesty, courage, and justice. However, when one partner values these principles and the other is more flexible or willing to compromise on ethics for convenience, trust and respect are severely impacted. For example, if one person values honesty and openness in communication while the other regularly hides the truth or avoids difficult conversations, this moral discrepancy can cause a breakdown in the relationship. The Stoic mindset would encourage each partner to reflect on whether they can tolerate these differences without compromising their own integrity. Political and social views can also contribute to a significant clash in values. In today's polarized world, it is not uncommon for couples to find themselves at odds over their political beliefs or views on social issues. While it is possible for couples with differing opinions to maintain a healthy relationship, when these views are deeply held and influence how individuals approach life, they can create an insurmountable divide. For instance, one partner may be deeply passionate about environmental causes, while the other is indifferent or actively opposed to such beliefs. This fundamental difference in values can cause constant friction and hinder any shared sense of purpose or mission. From a Stoic perspective, it's important to evaluate whether such fundamental differences can be overcome or if they are an indication of a larger incompatibility in the relationship. Family dynamics and expectations are another area where values may differ. Family background and upbringing shape a person's beliefs about relationships, responsibilities, and life priorities. If one partner values close-knit family bonds, frequent gatherings, and caregiving, while the other places little importance on family obligations or is focused on personal independence, this conflict can cause strain in the relationship. Stoicism teaches that we should embrace what is in our control, but it also encourages us to assess whether our relationships support our values and lead to our flourishing. If family expectations conflict with the values of one partner, it can lead to feelings of alienation and dissatisfaction. In such cases, both partners must evaluate whether their differing values can coexist without sacrificing their sense of self or well-being. Religious or spiritual beliefs also play a significant role in a relationship's stability. When partners have opposing spiritual or religious values, it can create deep emotional conflict, particularly if these beliefs inform the way they approach life, death, and moral decision-making. For example, if one partner is deeply religious and values spiritual practices as an integral part of their life, while the other is either agnostic or uninterested in spirituality, the lack of shared values can create a distance that cannot easily be bridged. Stoics themselves practiced a form of spiritual philosophy, but it was focused on self-discipline, virtue, and rationality rather than adherence to specific dogmas. If a relationship is built on differing religious or spiritual foundations, the relationship may face significant challenges, especially if both individuals cannot find common ground or respect each other's beliefs. Even seemingly small differences in values can add up to create an insurmountable divide. For instance, one partner may value financial stability and frugality, while the other may prefer to live more spontaneously or indulge in luxury. Over time, these differences can lead to ongoing arguments, frustration, and a loss of trust. The Stoic perspective encourages individuals to focus on controlling what they can and accepting the things they cannot. If a partner's values consistently conflict with one's own, and no middle ground can be found, it may be time to reflect on whether the relationship aligns with both partners' long-term happiness and personal growth. Ultimately, incompatibility in values can lead to emotional distance and dissatisfaction. Stoic philosophy encourages individuals to live a life of virtue and authenticity. A relationship that no longer aligns with one's core values may prevent growth and fulfillment, creating a sense of inner conflict. While relationships require compromise and mutual understanding, when fundamental values diverge too much, it is difficult for the relationship to thrive. In such cases, it may be necessary to evaluate whether staying in the relationship serves the greater good of both individuals. Sometimes parting ways is the healthiest choice, allowing each person to pursue a path that aligns with their true self and values. Number 6. Loss of physical intimacy. Physical intimacy plays a significant role in romantic relationships. It is often considered a primary way for couples to express love, affection, and emotional connection. However, the loss of physical intimacy is a powerful sign that a relationship may be nearing its end. In Stoic philosophy, a healthy relationship is built on virtue, mutual respect, and the cultivation of deeper connections beyond just the physical realm. When the physical aspect of a relationship diminishes or disappears, it is not merely a symptom of sexual disengagement, but a reflection of deeper emotional and relational issues. The decline in physical intimacy often starts gradually. Initially, there may be small signs, such as less frequent kissing, hugging, or physical closeness. These gestures, which once served as an expression of love and affection, may begin to feel less natural or even forced. Over time, this reduction in physical affection can cause partners to feel more distant, both emotionally and physically. While there are always external factors, such as stress, fatigue, or health concerns, that can affect a couple's physical closeness, a sustained lack of intimacy points to a deeper issue within the relationship itself. From a Stoic perspective, relationships are valued for the virtue and integrity they bring to our lives, not solely for their physical pleasures. The Stoic mindset encourages focusing on self-control, rational thought, and emotional resilience. Yet, physical intimacy in relationships is also a part of living harmoniously with others. When a relationship lacks this physical connection, it signifies that something vital is missing. Physical affection is often a reflection of emotional closeness, and when intimacy fades, it usually indicates that other forms of connection, like communication, emotional availability, or respect, are also eroding. One of the most noticeable consequences of the loss of physical intimacy is the increasing emotional distance between partners. Physical touch often reinforces emotional bonds, as it serves as a tangible expression of affection, love, and care. When this connection starts to fade, partners may begin to feel neglected or unimportant to each other. This can lead to a sense of loneliness, even while physically sharing the same space. In a healthy relationship, emotional closeness and physical intimacy are intertwined. When one fades, it often leads to a breakdown in the other. The Stoic philosophy teaches the importance of emotional resilience and self-sufficiency, but it also emphasizes that our relationships should be built on mutual care and respect, which includes the nurturing of emotional and physical bonds. In many relationships, sexual intimacy is also a form of communication. It allows couples to express their desires, needs, and affection in a way that words alone cannot. When physical intimacy diminishes, it can signal that partners are no longer communicating effectively with one another. Emotional barriers may have been erected, and these barriers can manifest in the form of avoidance or withdrawal from physical affection. The lack of physical closeness may be a subconscious manifestation of unresolved issues, such as unaddressed emotional needs, unhealed wounds, or unmet expectations. Stoicism encourages individuals to be introspective and examine their emotions and actions. If physical intimacy has been lost, it may be necessary to reflect on the underlying causes, whether they are external pressures, personal struggles, or unresolved conflicts, and address them openly and honestly. Another factor contributing to the loss of physical intimacy is the breakdown in attraction. Attraction is a dynamic force in relationships, often influenced by emotional connection, mutual respect, and shared experiences. However, when partners no longer connect emotionally or fail to maintain respect and admiration for one another, the attraction that once existed may fade. Physical intimacy can become routine or even uncomfortable when emotional or relational problems begin to dominate the dynamic. The Stoic ideal of cultivating inner peace and self-discipline suggests that true connection is based on shared values, trust, and mutual understanding, rather than fleeting external factors. When attraction wanes, it often signals that the deeper connection between the partners has been eroded. The loss of physical intimacy may also be linked to personal changes or growth. As individuals evolve over time, their needs, desires, and preferences may shift. One partner may develop new interests or ambitions that pull them in a different direction, creating a disconnect in the relationship. Stoicism teaches that growth is essential for both individuals, and it is important to continuously strive for wisdom and personal improvement. However, when these personal transformations lead to a disconnect in intimacy, the relationship must be re-evaluated. If the physical aspects of the relationship no longer align with the partner's needs or desires, it may be an indication that the relationship is no longer fulfilling or mutually supportive. Additionally, unresolved conflicts or resentments can significantly impact physical intimacy. When there are ongoing arguments or emotional wounds that have not been addressed, physical closeness can become fraught with tension and discomfort. The idea of physical affection may even become associated with negative emotions, such as anger, bitterness, or frustration. In such cases, the loss of physical intimacy is not merely a lack of desire, but a response to emotional pain or relational breakdown. The Stoic approach emphasizes the importance of self-control and emotional regulation, but it also recognizes that unresolved conflict can erode the quality of relationships. When partners are no longer able to connect physically because of these unresolved issues, it is essential to confront and address the root causes of the emotional disconnection. In some cases, the loss of physical intimacy may also stem from external factors such as stress, health problems, or life changes. These factors can temporarily affect a couple's ability to connect physically, but if the underlying emotional and relational issues are not addressed, the disconnection can become permanent. The Stoic practice encourages focusing on what is within our control and accepting what is outside our control. While external factors like stress or health problems can affect intimacy, it is essential to maintain open communication and mutual support to prevent these challenges from driving a wedge between partners. In conclusion, the loss of physical intimacy is a clear sign that a relationship may be coming to an end. This loss often reflects deeper emotional, psychological, or relational issues, such as a breakdown in communication, a loss of attraction, unresolved conflict, or growing emotional distance. While Stoic philosophy values emotional resilience and self-sufficiency, it also recognizes that relationships should be based on mutual respect, trust, and connection. Physical intimacy is one of the most profound expressions of these qualities, and when it fades, it signals that the relationship may no longer be fulfilling or sustainable. If physical intimacy has been lost, it is essential to reflect on the underlying causes and consider whether the relationship can be revived or if it is time to move on to healthier, more supportive connections. Number 7. You no longer feel like partners. The sense of partnership is the cornerstone of a healthy relationship. When two people are in a romantic partnership, they are not just lovers, but also allies, friends, and companions on a shared journey. They work together, support one another, and navigate life's challenges as a team. However, when you no longer feel like partners, the emotional connection between you and your significant other has likely diminished significantly. In Stoicism, the idea of partnership aligns with the virtue of sympathy, the mutual understanding and support we offer one another. This virtue is at the heart of any meaningful relationship. When this sense of partnership erodes, it's often a sign that the relationship is no longer functioning as it should. The feeling of being a partner in a relationship means having each other's backs, feeling like you can rely on each other through thick and thin, and knowing that you are both contributing to the success and well-being of the relationship. In a strong partnership, each person values the other's contributions, respects their boundaries, and actively works together toward common goals. When the relationship shifts from this dynamic to a sense of isolation or individualism, it is a red flag. One of the most telling signs that you no longer feel like partners is the increasing sense of being on separate paths. Where once you may have shared dreams, aspirations, and future plans, now it seems like you're simply coexisting. You may find that you no longer discuss your goals together, and when you do, you realize how little they align. In Stoicism, the concept of living in harmony with others is essential, and this harmony extends to the way in which two individuals work toward shared goals. If your partner no longer feels like a teammate or someone you can rely on, it may signal that your paths have diverged and the relationship is no longer serving you both. The loss of emotional support can also play a large part in this shift. Partners should be there for one another through life's challenges, offering comfort, advice, and encouragement. But when you no longer feel like partners, you may notice that emotional support has become a one-sided affair, or that you simply don't turn to each other for comfort in difficult times. This lack of emotional reciprocity creates a significant disconnect between the two of you. In Stoic philosophy, resilience in the face of hardship is crucial, but it is made easier when you have a reliable and supportive partner to help you weather life's storms. Without this support, the sense of partnership fades and the relationship begins to lose its meaning. Another key component of partnership is shared responsibility. In a balanced relationship, both partners contribute equally to the dynamic, whether that be emotionally, financially, or in terms of day-to-day responsibilities. But if one partner begins to feel like they are carrying the weight of the relationship, whether through taking on more chores, making all the decisions, or providing emotional support, resentment can build. This imbalance creates a shift in the relationship dynamic, where one person feels more like a caretaker or service provider than an equal partner. The Stoic value of fairness and justice teaches that both parties in a relationship should carry their weight and contribute to the overall harmony. When this balance is lost, feelings of frustration and disillusionment can arise. The loss of mutual respect is another crucial element that can indicate the breakdown of partnership. A partnership requires mutual admiration and respect for each other's differences and individual qualities. If you and your partner no longer respect each other, the relationship will likely falter. This lack of respect may manifest as criticism, condescension, or dismissiveness, behaviors that undermine the foundation of any partnership. In Stoic thought, respect and the cultivation of virtue in others are central to a harmonious relationship. Without respect, there can be no partnership, and the relationship is at risk of becoming merely a formality or an obligation. When you no longer feel like partners, you may also notice a distinct lack of effort in maintaining the relationship. In the beginning stages of a relationship, both partners often put in a great deal of effort to connect with each other, plan activities, and nurture the relationship. However, over time, when the partnership feels strained, that effort begins to wane. If both partners are no longer invested in making the relationship work, it is a strong sign that the emotional bond is fading. In Stoicism, the idea of eudaimonia, living in accordance with one's true purpose and achieving flourishing, is vital. For a relationship to contribute to your flourishing, both individuals must put effort into maintaining it. Without mutual effort, the partnership weakens and emotional fulfillment diminishes. This feeling of not being partners also comes with a loss of shared vision. In a healthy relationship, both individuals share a vision of the future, whether it involves raising a family, traveling together, or supporting each other's individual goals. However, when you no longer feel like partners, you may find that these future plans have dissolved or that you no longer discuss them. Your priorities may shift, and you may begin to realize that your future no longer involves your partner in the way it once did. The Stoic ideal of living intentionally and purposefully aligns with the idea of working together toward a shared future. If that vision has disappeared, it's a sign that the partnership has broken down. Moreover, The absence of shared intimacy, both emotional and physical, also contributes to this sense of not being partners. In the early stages of a relationship, physical closeness and emotional vulnerability create a sense of unity and partnership. Over time, as intimacy diminishes, the relationship can feel like a mere coexistence rather than a deep, meaningful connection. This emotional and physical disconnect reinforces the feeling that you are no longer partners. In Stoic terms, the lack of intimacy suggests that the emotional harmony that once existed between you and your partner has deteriorated, making it difficult to truly connect. At the root of this disconnection lies a shift in how you view each other. When you no longer feel like partners, you may begin to see each other more as roommates, acquaintances, or even adversaries. This transformation can be subtle, but it gradually erodes the bond that once made the relationship feel special and meaningful. In Stoic philosophy, the idea of sympathy is about feeling a deep connection with others, working together in harmony. Without this sense of unity, the relationship loses its significance and its capacity to help both partners flourish. In conclusion, the feeling of no longer being partners is one of the most telling signs that a relationship has reached its breaking point. Whether it manifests as emotional disengagement, the loss of shared goals, imbalanced responsibilities, or a lack of respect, this shift indicates that the relationship is no longer fulfilling its intended purpose. From a Stoic perspective, a relationship should contribute to the mutual flourishing of both partners, fostering harmony, respect, and emotional connection. When these elements are lost, the relationship may no longer serve either individual's growth and well-being. Recognizing that you no longer feel like partners provides an opportunity for reflection and introspection. It may be time to assess whether the relationship can be rebuilt or if it is healthier to part ways, allowing both individuals to seek fulfillment in more aligned connections.